Hello, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Mic. I'm Gary Laubach, and that is not Mike Joseph. I've always wanted to say this. Mike is on assignment. It's a total lie, but Mike cannot be with us here today. But I do want to welcome John Leone. Obviously, John's been with me for 20 years doing broadcasts, but John is going to take on a brand new role this year. He will be hosting the pregame show, so welcome aboard and another added duty.
Yeah, and to go along with the lack of increase in pay, but that's a topic for another time. But Gary, we're here to talk obviously about the big game upcoming with Delaware and Lafayette coming off a really solid win on the road. Anytime you can open the season with a win on the road, it's a good thing.
And Delaware, of course, with a big win over Delaware State. They won that ball game rather easily, 56-14. Not quite sure how great the competition was in that game. I watched it. Delaware certainly looks like a team that can run the football, John. If we're going to have to do anything, we're going to have to find a way to stop Wes Hills. He ran for 212 yards against Delaware State. And they've got a stable of running backs. It's not like he did it all by himself. Three other running backs had 36 carries.
Exactly, and they ran the ball for well over 300 yards, and it's always critical. You've got to be able to stop the run. Now, having said that, it could be argued that Delaware is a one-dimensional team. Mm-hmm. You can't sell out too much on the run because they are a college-level team. They're going to be able to throw the football if you give that to them. But I think definitely the key for the game is trying to keep Wes Hills under control and the rest of those great running backs.
Yeah, they piled up 395 yards on the ground, so that has to be, as John said, a focus in the ball game. They were also very opportunistic in that game, much like Lafayette. They created 4 turnovers on 4 interceptions. They had 2 fumble recoveries in the game. And obviously they're a CAA team, John, so that means the competition level is a little bit higher, but Lafayette coming off a win, and that's great to say. Their first win in an opening game since 2012. And when you look back at their ball game against Central Connecticut State, I felt they played very well, got better as the game progressed.
I think the most important thing to me, Gary, and I've been down on the sideline. You know, Michael has taken over in the booth, does a terrific job. You guys are great to listen to. But on the sideline, I can tell you the difference from year to year and from team to team. And what struck me most about Frank Tavani's comments a little while ago was the demeanor and the mental approach on the sideline. When a defense turns their opponent over 3 or 4 times in one quarter, and the offense can't take advantage, it's a perfect opportunity for a little bit of sniping, a little bit of finger pointing. There was none of that. Leadership will really carry the day for this Leopard football team this year. I think another thing is it seems to be, and returns are early, but it seems to be a well-disciplined team. Remember, the last couple of years, we would be pulling our hair out on the sideline about pre-snap penalties. There wasn't one on the road under duress against Central Connecticut State. So all positive signs for the Leopards.
One of the real positive signs is Drew Reed looking a lot like Drew Reed looked when he was a freshman. He completed 31 passes in that game, threw 42 of them for 316 yards, the second highest total in Drew's career. 3 touchdown passes to Matt Mrazek. That's a combination that you just hope you'll see all year long.
I remember the first time we saw Drew Reed, we were up in Cambridge at Harvard, and Drew was actually inserted into a lopsided game. The score was going against us, and he just lit it up against Harvard in the second half. John Luce, at the time our defensive coordinator, was walking off the field at the end of the game. We crossed paths, and he gave me a wink and said, "I like our quarterback." We haven't seen that Drew Reed in the last 2 years. Let's hope, for the sake of Lafayette football, that the freshman year Drew Reed is back. It looks like he is.
And I think in that game he completed 21 in a row, didn't he?
Yeah,
that was pretty darn incredible. When you also look at this ball club, 22 yards rushing in the game. But I think it's a little misleading. From the middle of the third quarter on, when we really needed to run the clock and run the football, I thought we did a pretty good job. I think we wore them down a little bit with our offensive line, but we were able to run the ball when we had to run it at the end of the game.
And Frank loves that. He reiterated again today. Those of us who've been around Frank for a long time know he's a former tailback. He wants to run the football. He's going to persist. And I think that was the key. They stayed with it. Now, having said that, it's great to have Drew Reed functioning at the level that he is, because that provides balance. And if they're going to have to take some people out of that box, whether it's short passes or deep passes to Mrazek, they're going to have to account for that stuff. It could help the running game. The old adage is that you run the ball to set up the pass. Well, sometimes you pass the ball, and that can help set up the run. And I think that's what happened also on Saturday.
And when you have Chenoweth and Wadsworth and company, you can throw the ball around and not just let them stop Matt Mrazek. That will not get the job done. We know it's CAA. We know it's Delaware. We know how good they are. I felt we played with them right up to the very end. again last year. Maybe we can get win number 2 on Saturday night. At 6 o'clock, you can watch it on the Lafayette Sports Network, on the Patriot League Network, and, of course, on RCN Television. John will be there, I'll be there, and guarantee you Mike Joseph will also be there. This is Behind the Mic. Glad you've joined us for this week.